Okay, here we are in round 6. Looks like soldiers versus blue-white control. I promise I'm not stalking VelociHat, but they're 4-1 and still playing, so here we are. Looks like PD bot maybe not in this game right now, so we don't know the record, but probably 1-1. Okay, let's see if soldiers can pull it out. We seem to have reached turn 4 without any damage being dealt, which sounds like a very strong proposition for the control deck. Soldier of the Pantheon and Cave of the Frost Dragon trying to get it done, maybe. Still 4 cards in hand for mdog. A Sky Strike Legionnaire or one of those kind of cards could draw him back into it, or maybe just slamming some humans and not getting wrathed. Looks like a counter on the Boromir. No, deduce in response. So if this Boromir resolves, we've got a 2-2 and a 2-1 that can't be wrathed away. Pretty strong. You don't want to go to turn 4 on the draw and have done 2 damage, but if you do, having this board is pretty good. Having the cave for backup is pretty good, and the cave is almost active on turn 4, even though that's not usual because of a path to exile presumably, or maybe even looking at the graveyard too. So this detention sphere is pretty okay, but it's just spot removal against 3 threats, so 1 for 1 is fine. It's when you get your board swept that you tend to lose these. And there's always the ever-present threat of Spell Pierce out of the board in mdog soldiers. I think he's running 3 almost every time this season. Temporary 3-drop might be a Boromir, might be a Sky Strike Legionnaire. I think those are the only 3s he plays. Nope, it's out of the sideboard. It's a Horn of Gondor. So this being a thing against control that allows you to kind of grind infinitely with 1/1s as long as you control 1 human. So even just drawing an Acatian Javeliniers off the top, although that's probably been boarded out, can kickstart this, although it is definitely a lot worse after a Wrath than it would be if he gets to untap with it now. VelociHat moving quickly to make his play. Tapping and untapping in Brian Moss fashion. So it does have the Wrath, but this does allow mdog to untap, play any human, tap the Horn, get another human. It's not really a winning strat against Dream Trawler, but it probably beats, some amount of spot removal. Harbin is a human, resolves, and Horn of Gondor now active, kind of unbeatable in draft if I remember rightly. Yeah, makes things that are humans and soldiers, but okay, no spot removal to blanket there, so we're back up to a cave, a fortified beach now to pump the team, a Harbin and 2 soldiers. Maybe we're making more soldiers right now before any spot removal. So from almost nothing, this Horn of Gondor has brought us back to having a very respectable board state, and in fact we're close to being able to jump the team with Harbin and also pump the team with Fortified Beach, which is presumably lethal, but not just yet. So Wraths and Dream Trawlers good, everything else probably pretty medium here. There's a Wrath. So maybe we untap, make a human, make a 1/1 with the Horn. Maybe we get him for 3 with the Cave. That seems maybe a bit thin at a whole 9 life. You have to attack 3 times, but there's only 1 card in hand for VelociHat. So it's not like they've got horned whale on layaway, but it doesn't fly. So it's completely irrelevant to cave attacks. So we're going with destroy the detention sphere and free up Boromir. Boromir is a human, works with Horn. Horn makes a 1/1, and we now have kind of, in a sense, 7 power on board, some of which can't be wrathed away. So, pretty good fight for a deck that didn't do any damage to blue-white control until turn 4. You probably wouldn't sack your Boromir to avoid a wrath here because it's not that hot. Okay, so we make the whale to block and turn off kind of everything except cave for right now, but we certainly can go wide with this horn, and indeed that's the plan. Not so interested in getting him for 3 when opponent is at 9, even with only 1 card in hand. You know, maybe we can just get a go wide attack with the fortified beach or with the cave in the air that's just lethal. Seems possible, even likely. Now the wrath is pretty bad here. Boromir just keeps the 3 soldiers alive. Horn makes 3 more soldiers and it removes your blocker. So you kind of want spot removal on Boromir, followed by wrath, followed by deal with the cave, which sounds like a lot. Here's Rivendell allowing some scrying. And we are maybe activating cave. No, we're activating the horn. So getting close to wrath or bust, and wrath isn't good enough because of Boromir. So maybe Boromir just staying out of combat in general. Just a little wrath protection in enchantment. I mean, there's no point attacking to the 6/6, I guess. Could activate the cave and attack. Could attack with 3 soldiers and activate the beach. Lots of options. Okay, looks like we're just going for 4 damage. Force you to have a wrath. Even if you do, sack Boromir, activate cave. It's kind of like maybe settle the wreckage or best. Okay, do not activate Beachhead. So we're either scrying end of turn, or we have a spell pierce or some other kind of interaction in hand. And this just looks like, okay, maybe just scrying, maybe still have the interaction. This just looks very lethal in a lot of different ways. Settle the wreckage is maybe something to play around, but if you activate Horn in response to it or before attacking, then you're just ready to go again next turn. The lands in this soldier's deck is definitely the best mana base in the format. Minus tears to draw cards, Rivendell scry 2, Fortified Beach pumps basically every card in your deck, and then a man land as well. Yeah, and we're just going for 5 guys getting through it and probably pump with Fortified Beach to make it very lethal. I think Settle the Wreckage is the only thing that works here. Don't know if it's in VelociHat's deck. And there we go. A win for mdog, going to 5-1. See if there are any matches still going. Yeah, a few. We have got Glendalough, I know is 3-2. Coveted is also 3-2. TheWatchWander is also 3-2. Watch is probably the pre-tournament favourite. I don't know if they can scrape into top 8 with all wins here, but let's have a look. Probably on blue-white control. Yeah, on blue-white control. PDBot is in this match, so we'll be able to find out the record. Oh, it's Curly again. WatchWander 1-up, so this could be going for a while. We have a Ruined Halo on Nezahal. We have a Nevermore on No More Lies, of all things. And a Wrath of God on the stack. In response, we're going to donate this 9 lives. One Curly Boy before this has 10 cards in hand. Not totally sure how that happened. Oh, I guess this Ruined Halo and this Nevermore were donated by a previous Falcon. Some exiled cards, but no Falcon in there. There's a lot going on. We're deep into game 2 here. And he also donates the Falcon because it's about to get wrathed away. That's funny. So up to 13 cards in hand. So maybe they can force a Cleansing Nova through some counter magic here and win the game on the spot. $11 or 12 mana available to try and do it. So here we go. Going for the cheapest option. I want to call this Foretold version of Devastating Mastery, but it's not. It's a different mechanic. Got some counter to fight. Got an Absorb. Surely in this 13 cards, there's something to fight back with. Okay. Well, the double counter was enough. Do they have another Devastating Mastery? Nope. Just going to draw 2 cards. Main phase. Going up to 13 cards in hand. And a choice, definitely. Discarding 6. Maybe there's... yeah, I don't know why we would do that, but... there we go. Oh, all the cards in hand is from Nezahal, of course. TheWatchWander ducking and diving. Looking with Azcanto with 4 cards in hand on the main phase, perhaps hoping to resolve a Trawler while the opponent is tapped out, or an approach. Found Path to Exile. That's not very exciting here. Saw a bunch of lands, perhaps. Okay, so we're going for the win again with Cleansing Nova. TheWatchWander, 5 cards in hand. Plays some kind of response. It's forbid, no buyback. So, doesn't really tell us anything because the buyback would still be on the stack. Curly does not seem to have a counterspell, but is digging for one. Draws off the clue token, and now there's probably nothing that helps here. Cycles Timeless Dragon, as you do. Finds an irrigated farmland. So, TheWatchWander survives again. Not quite enough mana to scry on end of turn with Castle Vantress. It's interesting to have less cards, but the vulnerability of if your opponent resolves a 4 to 5 mana sorcery, you lose the game instantly, and I guess Watch is feeling that pressure, firing off Thassa's Intervention for only 2. Probably not much use as a counterspell. And maybe just digging for the return of the approach that we didn't see the first one of. So Watch hanging in there with an outside chance of top 8, I think, at 4 and 2. Curly now hoping for top 16, presumably. Glendelot was another 3 and 2 going into this round, so let's watch that. Oh, now we see Glendelot winning the exact same way. So certainly in the end of round matches towards the top of the table, we're seeing a lot of blue-white control, but of course you kind of expect that. Everyone knows it's good and it goes the longest. So Glendelot at 4 and 2, TheWatchWander at 4 and 2. We have Putus, who's also 3 and 2. Oh no, that's finished. Looks like we're maybe done. No, we have the Shadowmaker, who is 4 and 1 and going to this round, versus litkakashi, who's also 4 and 1. So this is a I don't know what it is, but it's an important match. Certainly gives the players a win and in next round, and it is once more Azov against blue-white. Oh, blue-white Tempo looks like. Has a disdainful stroke, which means if it is my exact list. It's an older one, so perhaps their own take. I'm playing all of these other cards though, so that's a pretty tasty turn for blue-white. About to knock this opponent to 4, potentially a swing back with the Shambling Vent for 2, but then the attack would be lethal. Only 1 card in hand for litkakashi, so clue in play for the Shadowmaker. So this looks pretty good for the Shadowmaker. Definitely not conclusive, but okay, cracks the clue post-combat. Interesting choice. Probably do that land, play another threat. So comically, the Novice Inspectors are nearly lethal, or lethal with a Luminarch Aspirant. Plenty of mana for litkakashi. Looks like Yorion might be in hand potentially, if they're playing Yorion. Yorion, a pretty good blocker here, but has to block the Sphinx. Not playing Tendrils. Doesn't really solve the problem, but maybe a second one does. Lethal Sphinx in play, so still need something here. Sphinx is hexproof, so maybe a dam. Okay, so this Death Cloud does do it. And no end of turn Nimble Obstructionist for lethal, as we've sacked the clue now. So this has to be Spell Pierce or Bust, probably. No Manland in play for the Shadowmaker. I don't know if he's playing them. Oh, I see a Mystic Gate, so it's definitely not my list. I don't think I played Mystic Gate at any point, or at least not with Novice Inspectors, because I wanted lots of turn 1 sources for Novice Inspector. So discard a card, going down to 1 card in hand. If it's a Sphinx... Okay, so it's better than a Novice Inspector, and I would say Novice Inspector is pretty okay on this board, because it's a redraw and a 1-2 that makes it difficult for litkakashi to attack with the vent and start gaining life, or at least better than nothing. So it'd be interesting if we... Okay, so we drew Port Town. We ran it out there, no price of progress to be afraid of, and given that we didn't play a spell, I wonder if it's Sphinx. Although main phase in the Sphinx probably makes sense because they only lose to Dam then. Although this way you can ambush a Shambling Vent should you care to. Might be a bit silly to open yourself up to sorcery speed removal. Maybe just let it hit you and swing back for 5 if you have Sphinx. Oh, okay. It's Lagoon Breach, which I suppose is a fair bit better than a Novice Inspector. Could kill his own vent to prevent the 6/6. It does not. Puts the vent on the bottom. Makes sense. It would come in tap next turn. It's no longer doing that useful thing. Draw is land, so it's just all about whether litkakashi can deal with this end of turn Horned Lochwhale. There's a Coalition Relic which does nothing and passes the turn. Presumably this guy comes in now. He does have enough mana to pay for the ward if he has a 1 or 2 mana interactive spell right now, or he could do it as upkeep just as good, I suppose. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like if you had one you would have used it. Don't think this Death Cloud deck is playing Settle the Wreckage, kind of opposite of the plan of Death Clouding you, and this is probably game. And so it is. Alright, that's in round 6, last round of Swiss coming up. Good luck everybody.